The Fall of Singapore. Part 1. The fall of Singapore in February 1942 remains one of the most significant events in World War II. Known as the Gibraltar of the East, Singapore was a crucial British stronghold and symbol of imperial power in Asia. Its sudden and unexpected fall to the Japanese forces marked a turning point in the war, shattering the myth of British invincibility and dramatically altering the course of the conflict in the Pacific. In this two-part series, we will delve into the circumstances that led to the fall of Singapore, examining the strategies, battles, and key events that ultimately brought about the city's surrender. In Part 1, we will explore the background of Singapore's strategic importance, the Japanese invasion plan, and the initial stages of the battle. We will also discuss the air operations that played a critical role in the outcome, as well as the events that transpired on the second day of the invasion. By understanding the factors that led to the fall of Singapore, we can gain valuable insights into the challenges faced by both the British and Japanese forces during this pivotal moment in history. Join us as we retrace the steps that culminated in the surrender of one of the British Empire's most prized possessions, paving the way for a new era in global warfare. Singapore's geographical position at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula made it a vital location in terms of trade and defense. Its natural deep-water harbour facilitated the growth of a thriving port, which became a hub for international trade between Europe and Asia. Moreover, Singapore's proximity to the key shipping lanes of the Malacca Strait allowed the British to exert control over maritime traffic in the region. This strategic location made Singapore an essential asset for the British Empire and a prime target for the Japanese during World War II. Established as a British trading post in 1819 by Sir Stamford Raffles, Singapore eventually became part of the British Straits settlements alongside Malacca and Penang. As a crown colony, Singapore enjoyed substantial economic growth and played a significant role in the British colonial empire. To protect their interests, the British had to put a strong military presence in the region, constructing forts and naval bases, such as the formidable Sembawang Naval Base. But they failed to anticipate the growing threat from Japan, ultimately leaving Singapore vulnerable to invasion. In the years leading up to World War II, Japan pursued aggressive territorial expansion in Asia, seeking to establish the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere under its control. Tensions grew as Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931 and later launched a full-scale invasion of China in 1937. This expansionist policy alarmed Western powers, including Britain and the United States, who sought to maintain their colonial interests in the region. As Japan's military prowess grew, the vulnerability of the British Empire's Asian territories became increasingly apparent, setting the stage for the momentous confrontation that would unfold at Singapore. The Battle and Japanese Landings. The Japanese invasion plan, codenamed Operation Matador, was a meticulously designed strategy aimed at capturing Singapore as quickly as possible. General Tomoyuki Yamashita, known as the Tiger of Malaya, was appointed to lead the 25th Army, comprising approximately 70,000 troops, against the British forces. The plan involved a swift advance down the Malay Peninsula, bypassing the heavily fortified British defences along the eastern coast of Malaya. To achieve this, the Japanese opted for a surprise attack through Thailand, followed by a rapid push southwards. The element of surprise was crucial, as the British anticipated a more conventional naval assault. Additionally, the Japanese deployed bicycle infantry units to facilitate rapid movement through the dense jungle terrain, a tactic that caught the British off guard. The British defensive strategy, under the command of Lieutenant General Arthur Percival, was heavily influenced by the misconception that the Japanese forces were inferior to the British. Relying on the Malay barrier concept, the British believed that Singapore's defences were impregnable from a land invasion. Consequently, they focused their resources on protecting the southern and eastern coasts, which were deemed more susceptible to a naval attack. British forces in Malaya numbered around 90,000, but many were inexperienced and ill-equipped. The British also underestimated the difficulties of fighting in the dense jungle terrain, which the Japanese forces had trained extensively. This combination of overconfidence, misjudgment, and inadequate preparation would ultimately contribute to the British failure to defend Singapore effectively. On the night of December 8, 1941, the Japanese forces launched their invasion of Malaya with simultaneous landings at Kota Baru and Singora, now Songkhla, in Thailand. Although the British detected the landings at Kota Baru, they failed to prevent the Japanese from establishing a beachhead. Meanwhile, the landing at Singora went largely unopposed, allowing Japanese forces to quickly advance into the Malay Peninsula. By utilizing a combination of speed, surprise, and infiltration tactics, the Japanese quickly overcame the British defenses at the Jitra line and pushed further south. The British forces, unable to adapt to the rapid pace and unconventional tactics of the Japanese, were forced into a series of disorganized retreats. This relentless Japanese advance set the stage for the decisive Battle of Singapore, which would ultimately lead to the city's surrender. Air operations. Air superiority of the Japanese played a critical role in the success of their invasion plan. The Imperial Japanese Army Air Force, IJAF, and the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service, IJNAS, were well equipped with modern aircraft such as the Mitsubishi A6M0 and the Nakajima Ki-43 Hayabusa. These planes had a significant advantage in terms of speed, agility, and firepower over their British counterparts. The Japanese air forces also benefited from experienced pilots and a well-coordinated command structure. They were able to conduct relentless air raids on British airfields, naval bases, and supply lines, effectively neutralizing the British Royal Air Force, RAF, in the region. This air superiority proved crucial in supporting the rapid advance of Japanese ground forces, ultimately contributing to the fall of Singapore. The British Royal Air Force, RAF, faced numerous challenges during the Battle of Singapore. Despite being aware of the potential threat posed by Japan, the RAF in the Far East was woefully under-resourced and equipped with outdated aircraft, such as the Brewster Buffalo and the Hawker Hurricane. Many of the RAF pilots in the region were inexperienced, having had limited exposure to combat situations. The relentless Japanese air attacks caught the RAF off guard, causing significant damage to their airfields and infrastructure. This made it increasingly difficult for the RAF to launch effective counterattacks or provide air support to the beleaguered ground troops. Furthermore, the British High Command was slow to recognize and adapt to the rapidly changing situation, which ultimately led to a loss of air superiority and played a significant role in the fall of Singapore. The second day. On the second day of the invasion, the intensity of the battle escalated as the Japanese forces continued their rapid advance through Malaya. Capitalizing on their initial successes, they pushed forward with determination and speed. The British forces, still reeling from the unexpected assault, scrambled to mount a defense. However, they faced severe challenges due to the Japanese air superiority, which impeded their ability to regroup and reinforce their positions effectively. The Japanese troops, employing a combination of swift movements and aggressive tactics, made significant progress in securing key strategic locations, steadily tightening their grip on the Malay Peninsula. As the second day of the battle unfolded, several key events and turning points emerged that would shape the outcome of the conflict. One such event was the Japanese capture of the Royal Air Force RAF base at Tenga, which further crippled the British air capabilities in the region. The fall of the Slim River Bridge was another critical loss for the British, as it disrupted their supply and communication lines. The Japanese forces, exploiting these British setbacks, launched a series of bold flanking maneuvers and infiltration tactics that outmaneuvered and overwhelmed the defenders. The British forces found themselves increasingly isolated and unable to mount a coordinated defense. The events of this devastating day had far-reaching consequences for both the British and Japanese forces. The British, faced with mounting losses and a rapidly deteriorating situation, were forced to re-evaluate their strategy and redeploy their forces in a desperate attempt to slow down the Japanese advance. Morale among the British troops plummeted as they grappled with the reality of their situation and the unexpected ferocity of the Japanese assault. On the other hand, the Japanese forces, emboldened by their successes, continued to press their advantage with relentless determination. The events of the second day set the stage for the Battle of Singapore, as the Japanese forces closed in on their ultimate objective, The British, struggling to regroup and adapt, would soon find themselves facing the grim prospect of defeat and surrender. Conclusion. In this first part of our comprehensive series on the fall of Singapore, we delved deep into the historical context, strategic considerations, and pivotal events that culminated in one of the most significant moments in World War II. As the battle intensified, the British found themselves grappling with the formidable challenges posed by the tenacious and resourceful Japanese forces. The stage was set for an epic struggle that would test the mettle of both sides and forever change the course of the war. In our upcoming episode, we will immerse ourselves in the harrowing final days of the conflict as the situation for the British defenders grew increasingly desperate. We will examine the crucial decisions, tactical choices, and acts of heroism displayed on both sides of the battle line, as well as the heart-wrenching sacrifices made by the soldiers and the civilian population caught in the crossfire. As the battle reached its climax, we will explore the factors that led to the eventual surrender of Singapore, a devastating blow to the British Empire and a monumental victory for the Japanese forces. Furthermore, we will shed light on the aftermath of the battle, detailing the occupation of Singapore, the harsh reality faced by prisoners of war, and the enduring legacy of this critical turning point in history. Our series aims to provide an in-depth and nuanced understanding of the fall of Singapore, with the goal of offering valuable insights into the human experiences and strategic choices that shaped the outcome of the conflict. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing this incredible journey through history with you.